Hello, Juan Felipe.
Hello, Fabio. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to LacanCast.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for attending. It's a great honor to have you here. So today we're going to have a talk with Juan Felipe Arango, a clinical psychoanalyst with a private practice in Miami, Florida, a member of the World Association of Psychoanalysis, 2 times director of the NEL, the Nueva Escuela Lacaniana in Miami, a member of the board, the council, and former executive member of the Nueva Escuela Lacaniana, and holds clinical seminars and theoretical seminars in Miami. Have I left anything out of your presentation that you'd like to add, Juan Felipe?
No, that's too much. I think maybe I write some articles that are all around the publication of WIP, 3 languages, which is Spanish, English, and French. Maybe add that, but that's enough. More than enough. Thank you.
It's more than enough. Thank you very much. So our first question is, can you tell us a little bit of how did your encounter with psychoanalysis happen?
Well, that's a pretty much personal question, but I will today, because the answer always change a little bit through the time. In psychoanalysis, we are always opening new questions that introduce new readings of our own history. But today, let me say that my first encounter with psychoanalysis was at 14 years old. I was a teenager in the middle of an important city in Colombia, which is Medellin, in one environment very affected by the rise of the cartels of the drug, narco traffic. As a matter of fact, I was my first 16 years was in an area that is the neighborhood of one of the chief of that cartel, the boss of that cartel. And at 14 years old, in that middle of that proposal to fulfill the promise of the capitalism, I was reading one book, which is Freud, a book about the dreams.
Wow.
And then I read another book about the culture. He make a very fine analysis of the phenomenon of the culture. Then, let's say that I keep going through other readings, philosophers, romance, novels, etc. Then, later on, when I have to choose the university, before I was trying to fulfill one of the father's requests, going to be a military pilot.
Wow.
But that drops 2 years later, and I choose to go to what I really want at that time. In my city, there is 2 major universities that offer psychology,
Okay.
and one of those was the public university that helped that promotes the psychoanalysis too, as one of the main area to cover. So I choose that university, which is the University of Antioquia, and let's say in that moment I start my own analysis and I start to work with psychoanalysis. So this first encounter with the books of Freud, it's a shame that universities have no more that area cover in
Oh, really?
all the psychology faculties today, because psychology became very different. But it's a shame because it's one of the, let's say, possible approach as a clinical worker, if I can say, therapist even. So if I remember that time of the 14 years old is because as a teenager of the middle class, it was always very attractive. As a matter of fact, most of my friends took the other option. And for me, in certain ways, psychoanalysis and the encounter with that book, those two books of Freud, saved me. One of the key elements to make what I consider today the right choice was that. So today, I introduce something very personal. I think it was the first time that I say that public.
Okay.
But it's to show that our work is very important sometimes. A good choice sometimes, usually, change in the right moment, change people's life. And that choice sometimes is influenced by others. One psychoanalyst, one book, someone that help you to choose life and not death. So I think it's a good way to put it. How my encounter with psychoanalysis was.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And how did you get a hold of that book, Interpretation of Dreams? Was that it? How did you even become interested?
It was a very popular book because they opened what we call a circle of readers. Is a sort of new way to sell books. And my mother at that time buy some books. They offered the books by groups. So when she buy, let's say, a Roman of Milan Kundera, includes, let's say, other books as a promotion. And it was like 6 books of Freud at the time offering. So she took it. I don't know why. It was just taking the books and buy it. Like they later on do it on CDs and music and stuff like that. So in my house was always books around.
That's great.
That helps a lot.
And you said that you feel that the universities are not teaching Freud as much. Is that what you feel?
Yes. I find out most of the curriculum, most of the classes in the universities today, and most of the universities around the world, with the exception of maybe Argentina or France or some European countries, and some, they don't teach anymore about psychoanalysis. It's far away from, for even, and then when they make reference, they are not very rigorous. I mean, it's always anecdotal misinterpretations or rumors, intentional rumors. So I always recommend to read Freud from the first hand, because when you read at someone that comments Freud, always say something that is far away from the perspective that Freud proposed. Let's remember that always for Freud was a work in progress. So he had different times. He can say something today about the femininity, and later on say something totally different, and recognize that he cannot answer all the questions. He was like opening a new perspective, the discovery of the unconscious was great, and he was just opening a new field that he started, but of course we have to continue.
Yes. That's great, very rich.
Thank you.
The second question is a follow-up on the first one. How did, more specifically, your encounter with the World Association of Psychoanalysts, the Lacanian orientation happen?
Okay, yeah. Let's say that when I arrived to the university, I started to see a small group that was at that time born in Medellin. At that point, some of the people that the first generation, let's say, from Medellin, come back from Paris, and they make a work called de la Cause Freudienne, the School of Paris. And then my first analyst was someone that was just coming from Paris, making his training, his formation, we call it, but training there. And he arrived. So I was, let's say, someone that always was through the Lacanian perspective. I was introduced in the university, but also in this group that is called La Fundación Freudiana de Medellín, the Freudian field of Medellín. They work with the specific orientation of, let's say, Jacques Miller at the time, WAP. Then later on, I moved to Paris. I was studying there. I continued my analysis. And then I moved to Miami, where I found Alicia Arenas, just beginning a lecture group, a group of reading about Lacan. And then I moved to Miami. From some personal stuff is one of my options because I don't want to come back to Colombia. And when I see someone that is working for psychoanalysis in Florida, even if it's just a little reading group, I open my mind and I say, it's great. It's everything to do. Everything is virgin here. Let's work hard here, and let's see if psychoanalysis is kind of one big bet. The bet is if the Lacanian psychoanalysis can stay, survive, and grow up in American soil.
The plague.
Exactly. Behind that, there is a dream also. Huh? Behind that, there is this dream that someday we're going to have a school, the American School of Psychoanalysis.
Okay.
That's the dream. In the field, in the Freudian sense, I wish that we had to work for it because it's not sure. So the bet is not already done. We continue to work for it, and it will be what we choose. So that's my bet. So yeah, always my orientation was that, and in that sense, I'm a pure blood Lacanian, let's say, if you can call it that, yes, that way.
That is, I feel so fortunate for you to be sharing this piece of history of how the things began in Nueva Escola Lacaniana, which is very important for the rest of the United States for its connection with the World Association of Psychoanalysis. And how you spoke of meeting Alicia, beginning things, and you joined, and, you know, of course, things grew from there.
Yeah, that's great. It's a sense for life, a meaning for the life. We create meanings in the life.
What are your current projects? What have you been working on?
Okay, projects, let's say to the future. I'm working now with something very specific. I'm reading this philosopher, great philosopher, American philosopher, Francis Fukuyama. He's very interesting in many areas of the human being and what the human being will become. As you know, he was one of the main counselors of during the Bush government in the areas of the science and philosophy. So I'm reading now his latest book, which is The Political Order, but all his books with one question. Is the question of this new proposal of the transhumanism philosophy.
Transhumanism.
Transhumanism. They propose something like the human being that will become because of the intervention of the science and technoscience. And what the main question of Francis Fukuyama is, what kind of human being we're gonna have? And that's a very good question. Because maybe we are reluctant or we are kind of resistant to one step in the evolution, or are we in the way to lose what a real human is, a real human being is. So the human being himself is integrated. In that public debate, I think psychoanalysis has many things to say about it.
Definitely, yeah.
Because we have the perspective of the always misinterpreted inclusion of the unconscious as something that you have that drive your life, but you have no conscious of it.
Yeah.
Then I choose something very, let's say, entertainment. It was the TV series, like 8 seasons.
Oh,
The name of the series is Fringe, which is a very curious production of the television production, because it introduced the fiction, the sci-fi fiction, that one universe is connected to the parallel universe. So they build a bridge. Many things happens. There is one character that is a crazy scientific person that is all over making experiment with human beings, and there is always involved the encounters of the characters with his nemesis in the other side, in the other universe, and what is behind always between lines is this thing about choice and how choice make your life, your destiny, your future. No? Which is the most important aspect of the psychoanalysis, indeed.
yes. As you were saying earlier about choices, the right choice. Right?
Yeah. So I will choose that, and I'm not sure if I only will write some articles about it, but I think definitely I will propose the opening of one seminar here in Miami about that, the transhumanism and fringe and Francis Fukuyama, and what psychoanalysts have to say in this debate, this nowadays debate.
Well, we would love to keep track of your work in this direction. I think there has been some new series. It's a debate that is warming up. It's still small. A lot of people are not familiar with the term transhumanism. But the merge between humans and machines, basically, I don't know if you have seen the film Elysium.
Elysium, for example, one of the films that I was watching was that. It's exactly that.
And Matt Damon's character, he becomes some sort of transhuman when he suffers the injury, right?
Exactly.
Half machine, half human, and then all the ethical, philosophical questions that you say are very important for psychoanalysis to step in and guide this debate, because of the matter of the unconscious not being considered in this debate, right? Something that you are thinking of introducing and being part of this debate, to introduce the question of the unconscious in this debate and the question of transhumanism to psychoanalysis. Because are we going to lose our humanity if we merge with machines? What defines us as humans? Can machines have conscious, or nobody's even talking about, can machines have unconscious?
Exactly. No, there is a movie called I, Robot.
Yeah.
That robot have a dream. So, and
Yeah.
he opened a question about that dream. It's like humanize the robot with one proposal wish of the father. So that movie is too good to see that fiction.
Oh, okay.
Still a question. If a machine can become someday something like a human being. But again, the main question is open. What is a human being? what we are willing to give up the humanity by himself in order to do what? Because behind this, there is this ideal of the perfect machine, the invisible, immortal machine.
Immortal, yeah.
That is no longer human. That question was opened a long time ago in the 1940, in the Fahrenheit 9/11, Fahrenheit 950. Some of the books around that subject that is around long time ago. Yeah.
It's very interesting. This is very important debate for when we talk about the body, the real in the 21st century. I mean, you're talking about the 22nd century, basically. Or the late 21st century.
But the late 21st century will be right today.
Yeah.
When we are dealing with, for example, there is two approaches. You can train a human being to behave different, or you can find out what making him having that kind of behavior and work on it. The warranty in this side and the second side is no other formation will come in that place. In this side is you raise kind of behavior, let's say, but something else can come in his place. So there's the debate. The debate is, are we machines without asking ourselves about being human, the meaning of life, etc., all those ethical, minimal questions that we do all the time. Of course, each history time, each era, open a different proposal of answers. We call it the ideals. What are the ideals of this time? To be a machine? What that means? So it's great. I think I'm very passionate talking about it.
Important debate, and it opens a lot of other debates that are very important.
I think that Lacan, Lacan had something to say about it. When we talk about the Pack lettre, the speaker being, we open a new perspective that everybody can have the experience every day. So we are not talking about something mystical or ethereal. We're talking about something very, very, very experimental, very everyday feeling and thoughts, very human. So we have something important to say and something important to also to overlook, because it questioned all the psychoanalysis theory too. Again, the question is not closed. Are we resistant to the next step of the evolution of the human being? Why not? The question is open. So that's the future. Next year I will open for sure a seminar about it.
I hope so, and we hope here in LacanCast to keep track of your work, because this will open a lot of important questions for psychoanalysis. And last but not least, how can our audience find out more about you and your work?
Okay, they can find out the information of what we do here in Miami in our webpage, which is nelmiami.org, NELMIAMI.org. Now in the Nel Miami, I'm doing basically I'm working in two spaces. One is a seminar of the reading of one of the seminars of Lacan. Is a activity that we do all the time, because I always say that in this profession you never get bored. You always have new questions because of you and because of the others also. I mean, the clinical work, the times, what you hear in the office,
Yeah.
or because of you. And sometimes, most of the times, it's because of you and the others. It's a question that always make one effect on you. So what we call the training of the analyst is we call it formation. I prefer that because training is more like directed. The formation is always dynamic, alive, and we always read again those seminars of Lacan because every time that you go there with a different question, you make a different reading of it. So it's a space that we always work on it. I used to have it with Alicia Arenas, and now I have it with Fernando. We are now working the seminar 19, which is in French. It's called au pire.
Yeah.
It's a double word because it means or worst, but at the meantime, au père, which is or the father.
Oh, wow.
First of the father.
Oh. I hadn't realized that there was a homophony between au pire and au pair. That's very important.
Yes. So in that seminar, we are reading, we usually take the seminars of Lacan and read it page by page. We make comments, we go to the references that he opens there. And well, my part is to work on, for example, the classes that he gave at that time when he was teaching that seminar. He was giving some classes for the psychiatric people at the Sainte-Anne. Sainte-Anne is very important psychiatric place at France at that time, when the major psychiatric generation was formed, was training. So we are working on it. The other space that I do have now is the clinical seminar that one part is my responsibility. One part that talk about end of analysis, the end, the different exits of analysis, different ways to end or to finish or to interrupt one analysis. We raise questions as there is an end of analysis in the kids and teenagers. We open those questions.
These are very interesting questions, especially the way you put it, the exits of analysis. You can have ends, you can have interruptions, you can have. That's really a nice way to put it. Different exits.
Yes. So we always have some spaces in this site that are always thinking our times, our clinical problems. Is very important that because Lacan is very alive in the, let's say, scholar area. In the universities, you can find out more in Hollywood, for example. You can see that it's very Lacanian. As you said earlier, talking about Elysium, and Continuum is another movie that proves that, and Fringe, and all those movies that are in the same debate. But also, all this work is all the time introduce me as a psychoanalyst with one question that is open in the clinical work. That is why I said that it's very important to understand that this is a profession with no retirement. We buy the 401k, but don't worry, you won't take it because you cannot stop to doing what you love.
It is very interesting that at the same time you mentioned how sad it is that the universities are no longer teaching Freud. At the same time, you are making this acute observation that Lacan is very much alive. And even Hollywood is flirting with Lacan. And what I hear from what you're saying is that these questions, these upcoming questions of transhumanism and all the ethical questions, who am I? Am I a machine? And what's left of humanity? What is humanity? All those questions really are pointing into the direction of perhaps a broader importance of Lacan in this new civilization to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I was watching this series of Fringe, for example, I was saying it's pretty much Lacanian. It's the same feeling that Freud had with the Gradiva. Freud read the Gradiva of one writer, German writer that was Hensen, and he goes and talk to him and ask him, did you read my book about the dreams, the interpretation of the dreams, the science of the dreams? And he said, no, I never did that. Because your book follows one by one what is in my book. So, unconscious knowledge, the effect of the unconscious, even if you don't talk about Lacan, we are living in a more Lacanian era. The Lacan that introduced not all of the symbolic, not only the meaning, not only the sense, but the problem of the body, the problem of the humanity, the problem of the gadgets, the technical, the effect of the technical gadgets in our psyche, or our psyche aspect. So, yes, sure.
And I think especially now with, they say that 2014 for technology is going to be the year of wearable gadgets, like the Google Glass.
Yeah.
It's coming closer and closer to our bodies. So there's no distinction. When you use your iPhone or your Android, you're using something that's in the palm of your hand. When you have a Google Glass or the new augmented reality technologies, you are it, or it's almost blend into your body. So it begins almost this trend of transhumanism. Who am I? Am I still me? That you were mentioning.
Not only that, but this aspect of the glaze, this aspect of to being watched by others. Let's say, for example, the reality shows. When they appear, the people were very much interested in what is happening in the other life. So you are watching other people's life, supposing that a people's life is like that, which is not true, because you act very different in front of one camera that without the cameras. So when you see Jersey Shores and this guy is acting and making this drama, forget about it. It's not the real me in him. It's not his real me, what we are watching. We are watching his real pretending me because he's in front of one camera. So that's great, because it's always introducing what is gonna happen when you have not only some extension of your objects, because it's the glance, is also the hearing. What we're doing now is we are in front of one image with the sounds.
Yes.
We get something more extended, but it doesn't mean that make us better or happier. No, sometimes not. Some people start to complain about how privacy is invaded by the Google Glasses. There is some places that are asking bars and restaurants, etc., saying
no Google Glass.
No Google Glass.
Yes.
Let's say that you are with someone having a meeting that you don't want to be public. I mean, it's the right to privacy that is touched about that.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of time that they became with the face recognition programs. So someone will say, so at the meantime, the Google Glass, for example, for the Alzheimer's disease, for example, is going to be very helpful, because it's going to have the recognition. So The glasses will tell you the name of that person.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
A certain amount of anguish that is very, very very strong in that person will goes away. So what is the goods and the bads? Because we are not proposing stop the technical progress.
It's impossible, yeah, right?
It's impossible. It's not good. It's not our proposal, but the proposal of many rational times and many rational scientific is let's see what is the right place for it. No at the service of the ideals, because sometimes the ideals are the worst. As a matter of fact, the most advanced human beings in the fringe is a race of people that doesn't feel nothing, but at the meantime, they raise the women because it's different, and they talk about feelings. So they decide to erase, they make reproduction with a woman's, and everybody dress equal, think equal, individuality disappear. So that's pretty much interesting the way that the film, the series, the TV series Fringe presented. So it's a passionate debate. Again, it's a debate that will define our future. It's not the only debate, but it's the main debate.
That's great.
And again, I think that Lacan have wide open questions and also very good arguments to add to that debate.
Juan Felipe, it was a great honor. Thank you so much for your time, your contributions, your little bits of history that you shared with us, and your view for the future with the Lacanian desire, the Lacanian approach.
Thank you very much, and I hope that some people that watch this get interested in this passionate field.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.